All right, let's jump right in. Listen, if you're over 50 and you're actively managing your health, your retirement planning, and your daily performance, you've probably figured out by now that most of the advice out there, it just wasn't built for you. Today, in this explainer, we're going to break down how artificial intelligence, specifically everyday tools like Claude and ChatGPT, can actually operate as a highly capable reasoning engine for the really complex biology and finances of professionals over 50. And look, this isn't about hype, and it's definitely not about robots taking your job. This is a direct, practical guide to using AI to optimize your life systems, based strictly on your actual data. You know, there's a huge difference between standard fitness templates and a calibrated, data-driven system. Most of the fitness and nutrition literature out there just assumes you have a 28-year-old body. You know, a body that magically recovers in 48 hours and has joints that haven't quite earned their own zip code yet. But after 50, the variables shift. Your recovery takes longer. Your hormonal environment completely changes. You simply can't run a generic program and just hope for the best anymore. You need precision. And that's exactly where AI comes in. It takes existing, peer-reviewed science and applies it directly to your specific data, your schedule, and your age. Here is the bottom line. AI is simply a utility. It synthesizes your data to shrink the gap between your intentions and your execution. Let me be incredibly clear about this. AI does not lift the weights for you. It doesn't eat the right food, and it certainly doesn't go to sleep at 10 p.m. The discipline is still entirely yours. But what AI does do is completely remove the guesswork that drains your willpower. It calculates exactly what your body needs today, so you can just focus on executing the plan. So here is our roadmap for this explainer. We're going to cover 5 areas: the over 50 AI advantage, precision training and recovery, interpreting blood work, connecting cognitive inputs, and finally, stress testing your finances. All right, let's start with section 1, the over 50 AI advantage. We're using large language models strictly to manage the multivariable reality of aging biology. Think of AI as the absolute smartest research assistant you've ever had. We're talking about an assistant that has read, literally, every exercise physiology textbook, every nutrition study, and every financial planning guide out there. You don't use it to just search the web. You feed it your specific constraints, your age, your past injuries, your specific goals. And it synthesizes all of that into a highly specific daily plan. It basically takes that brief 14 minutes you get with your doctor and turns you into a perfectly informed patient. Moving right along to section 2, precision training and recovery data. So instead of following a static plan that tells you to do heavy squats whether you're rested or not, you run this really simple 3-step process every day. You wake up, you pull your heart rate variability, your HRV, and your sleep score from your Garmin, Whoop, or Apple Watch. Then you feed those numbers right into Claude or ChatGPT along with your planned workout. In a matter of seconds, the AI generates a training session matched to your actual physiological readiness. Say your HRV is completely tanked. The AI is going to tell you to swap out the heavy lifting for, say, 35 minutes of Zone 2 cardio and some ability work. It prevents the injuries that sideline older athletes for months. Because let's face it, at 50, a tweak in your lower back isn't just a 3-day annoyance anymore, it's a 6-week setback. And keep in mind, recovery isn't just about taking days off. It's heavily about the biology of sleep. By feeding your sleep metrics into the AI, you can pinpoint exactly which inputs are disrupting your overnight parasympathetic recovery. For instance, the AI will quickly highlight patterns you might be actively ignoring, like how even a single glass of wine suppresses your REM sleep and causes your HRV to just plummet the next morning. It gives you objective, totally unemotional data about what your daily habits are actually costing you. Okay, section 3, interpreting blood work and biomarkers. We just talked about tracking sleep and workouts externally, but when we shift to internal clinical markers, we really have to account for physiological changes. A big one is anabolic resistance. This basically means your muscles have become stubborn. Kind of like outdated software, they need a much louder signal, specifically more protein, to build muscle than they did when you were 30. Generic nutrition advice might tell you you're eating enough protein, but the AI knows that over 50, you need exactly 1.6 to 2.2 grams per kilogram of body weight. And that needs to be distributed effectively across your meals to actually trigger muscle protein synthesis. You just let the AI calculate your precise nutritional requirements based on these age-specific metabolic rules. Another really crucial variable you have to monitor when looking at your dietary and recovery data is inflammaging. This is that chronic, low-grade inflammation that accelerates aging and totally disrupts recovery. So when you track your food in an app like MyFitnessPal, you can prompt your AI assistant to audit your intake specifically looking for pro-inflammatory patterns. It can nudge you toward a Mediterranean-style protocol, stuff rich in olive oil, omega-3s, and legumes to actively suppress that inflammation. Going a step further, you can actually use AI to securely interpret your blood work, identifying subtle biomarker trends long before they become clinical liabilities. Now, obviously, you should never share your name or personal identifying information with an AI, but if you anonymize your numbers, you can ask the AI to compare your current lipid panels, your glucose levels, and inflammatory markers right against your previous tests. It's fantastic at flagging markers that are technically normal, but are quietly drifting toward the edge of the healthy range. This allows you to walk into your next physical with highly specific, targeted questions. All right, Section 4, Connecting Cognitive Performance Inputs. Take a look at this table. It maps exactly how prompting AI to connect your sleep, training, nutrition, and stress directly yields measurable cognitive performance patterns. Listen, cognitive decline is not inevitable. It is use-dependent. Just look at the mechanisms happening here. Deep sleep triggers glymphatic clearance, which is quite literally washing cellular waste out of your brain. Zone 2 aerobic training produces BDNF, a protein that acts like fertilizer for neuroplasticity. And actively managing stress protects your prefrontal cortex, which is what controls your executive function. By using AI to optimize your physical protocol, you're actually running a cognitive protection protocol at the exact same time. But stepping beyond just the biology for a second, there's a huge practical workflow shift here. By offloading administrative synthesis to an AI assistant, you preserve your working memory for tasks that require actual professional judgment. Think about it. If you're carrying around project statuses, unmade decisions, and health goals all in your head, you are completely burning up your cognitive bandwidth. The source material strongly suggests using AI as an external brain. You tell it what you need to track, and it organizes it. It synthesizes those long, boring documents for you, it drops emails, and it frees up your mental hard drive so you can focus on strategy and your actual expertise. And finally, Section 5, Stress Testing Financial Security. You can execute a quarterly protocol where AI analyzes your holdings against these specific variables to objectively stress test your financial exposure. Again, without ever entering your account numbers, you can upload anonymized allocations to your AI. Have it check your portfolio for embedded fee creep. You know, those tiny percentages that slowly eat away at your wealth over decades. Ask it to model longevity risk, simulate complex healthcare cost modeling, and project exactly what happens to your asset depletion if you live to be 95 in a high inflation scenario. The AI brings the synthesis. You bring the judgment. To really execute this, use what's called a pre-mortem framework. This is a great tool because it forces a structural check on optimism bias before you finalize any major financial commitment. When a financial advisor presents a new product to you, run an AI pre-mortem. Just tell the AI, assume it's 5 years from now and this investment completely failed. What are the 3 most likely reasons why? This instantly brings hidden risks, high fee structures, and lockup periods to the surface, things that standard sales presentations conveniently minimize. It's a pragmatic way to protect what you've built. So what does this all mean? It means it is time to stop guessing and start running a data-driven system. The tools to calibrate your workouts, interpret your biomarkers, and stress test your retirement are practical, they're completely accessible, and they're highly effective. So I'll leave you with this. The real question isn't whether AI can optimize your biology and your finances. The question is, how much longer can you afford to compete against those who are already using it?